Good evening. So today we are doing our week 7 assignment, which will be going over the cycles of operation of a firearm and the proper way to clean them. So with that being said, first things first, we're going to make sure that we have our firearm here and that there is absolutely zero ammunition. We're going to manually and visually inspect it. From there, we are going to then field strip it. So I'm going to rotate this and release the slide. From releasing the slide, we are then going to wiggle out this pin. All right, pull out that slide lever. Boom. From there, we are going to pull out the fire control unit, the FCU. Set this aside. Going to pull out the recoil spring, the barrel, and the slide. All right, so the first cycle of this operation is going to end up being feeding. From feeding, it is basically described as removing a round from the magazine. So that being said, whenever it'll lead into, all it is just being removed by this extractor. Whenever it's properly seated through the bottom grip and up through the FCU, and the slide is racked to the rear, which leads into our chambering. From chambering, you will end up having a round that will be properly seated inside of the chamber, which leads into locking. That is whenever the slide is fully pressed forward, which makes sure that all of the parts are perfectly aligned and ready for operation, which brings it into a process of where it is ready to fire. From locking, we will go into firing, which all you will be doing is then pressing the trigger, which will end up rotating the sear right here. That'll engage the firing pin into the back of the round, which will ignite the round, sending it out of the barrel. From the firing, it'll then begin the locking, which it ends up using the gas to press the slide backwards while also slightly pulling the round out of the chamber, which then leads us into our extracting. Extracting is whenever the extractor itself will end up pulling the round further out of the chamber, which leads into ejecting, which the ejector will then send the spent casing out of the firearm through this breech. From that moment, you will end up going into cocking, which then has the sear engage the sear engage the striker, which then creates this firearm to go back into the feeding, chambering, locking, firing, rotation. So from there, we are going to go over the process for cleaning. So today I'm going to be using this new kit that was given to me by Otis. So first things first, we would have had to then field dress all of this, take all of this apart. Once we have taken this entire assembly apart, our first step is going to be taking a brush and grab it, and we will then begin to get the excess carbon off of the slide and the striker. From there, we will then begin to clean the outside of the barrel and the feed ramp, which is a necessity because if that is clogged up with carbon, the firearm will then begin to contain several malfunctions. Mind you, this firearm was recently cleaned, so we will not have to go into depth with the amount of carbon. It's just a good habit to keep, to always clean your firearm. Then we will end up pulling out the recoil spring. We will then proceed to give it a nice little scrape beforehand. All right, and then the fire control module, the FCU. We'll make sure that there's no carbon over towards the sear, towards the trigger assembly, and just overall make sure that there is no buildup or any corrosion, any overall inspection of the FCU. We will also give our grip module or our polymer grip a nice little scrub. Once again, as I said, I've already went through and cleaned my firearms meticulous, but it's always a good habit to keep a good rotation. All right, after the polymer grip, you will then take apart the magazine. In order to clean it, you will press this retaining pin in and remove this layer of the slide, which will then expend the full spring from the magazine. All right, next step would to end up using solvent. So we will end up be using the Spartan Carbon Destroyer, which we will use in very little moderation, because you are not trying to drown your firearm. We will take a scrub pad, we will take a rod, and I do believe that they sent me over with a brush specific to the 45 caliber, which is this firearm. Which we would then load it on to this pool. Reform. So we will set that aside for whenever we're ready to use it. So first, we will want to apply the solvent meticulously. We will end up taking the solvent, we will end up applying it to little spots and just give a good wipe through. After that is completely wiped down, we will just leave it to rest. Same thing on the outside. We'll go through, we'll use what we have placed on this, and we'll give that another good wipe down, just to allow the solvent to rest onto the firearm and break up that carbon. Same thing, you will have it lightly done, but you'll go through and apply it to the fire control unit at all of the same places, mostly through the sear, the trigger assembly. You will set that back down. So next, for the barrel, you will most definitely want to apply your little fan, which will rotate it on. We will then take it and slide it through the cutout. From the cutout, we will fold it, pinch it, fold it, and fish it through that eyelet. Once we have done so, we will then get it seated, and we will always start from this side of the breech face, and we will slide it down. At that moment, we would allow all of this to sit down and soak up into the solvent. We would come back through, we give it our secondary cleaning, we would scrub any carbon and clean off and dry all of the oils. I do not have a air gun with me, so I cannot properly blow it off to ensure that it is dry throughout this time. All right. All right, after we go through and we've cleaned the board with the board brush and the solvent and made sure that everything is taken care of there, we will come back to the barrel for this board brush. All right. We will then apply the board brush onto the rod, and we would then grab it, strain it through, and then we will pull it through. Once again, going up through the feed ramp breech face side. Once we've done that, that's where we would go through and ensure that we are getting all of the excess oils off of this. And we are ensuring that everything is dry, that there is no excess lubricants upon this assembly. From there, we will then go back into cleaning off the 4 slide rails, ensuring that there is no corrosion, there is no carbon, and then we will just lightly lubricate it whenever we are applying it. So, that being said, we will begin the reassemble. We will take the bottom grip and apply the FCU into its place, which then we will end up using our lubricant oil. All right, we'll use the lubricant oil ever so lightly onto the 4 slide rails. Once we have lubricated that, we will then go ahead and place our lever back into our firearm. Alright, boom. Get it in, rotate it forward so it can rest in the housing, slide it back. The bottom is completely done. From there, we will make sure that this is slightly lubricated, but we will not go through and get all of the integral parts lubricated or caked full of any oil. Alright, now that that is done, we will take the dried off barrel, place it back into the slide. We will take the recoil spring, placing it back in, and reassemble our firearm, ensuring that it operates properly. Which leads us to our final piece to clean, which will be the full magazine. So after we've taken apart the magazine and just overall ensured that there is no rust, we will then go through back with the solvent and apply the solvent, which I do have on my rag. There it is. We will then go through and apply it across the full spring. Once we have applied it and gave it a good brush and dry it completely, then we are going to be able to reassemble the firearm. And it's always good to make sure that you don't miss out on your magazine, because if this spring were happen to snap or stop retracting or feeding you your ammo, at that point you just have a paperweight, or you would have to hand feed every single round. So then we'll end up taking over across the brush, giving it a good scrape thoroughly. Boom. Now dry it off with another rag. She is completely dry from all of the solvent. Let's move the solvents out of our way. We will then make sure that we are placing the exact same shape so it'll feed up smoothly. We will compress it until we can get the slide begun, until we hear that little click. Give it a wiggle just to make sure that everything is properly working. And that is how you properly clean your firearm. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask. Thank you. Goodbye.